And now we're right on time. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Talk is about money moves fastest on Aptos, and that's an interesting topic because, money moves fast everywhere, but in particular, we've been focused on trying to figure out how to provide the fastest Web3 framework for moving money, and money comes in many different forms and shapes and sizes. And that's why we go to rwa.xyz first, where you can see Aptos has a ton of RWAs on Aptos. We are the fourth largest chain in terms of TVL for RWAs. And you can see right over there, about, a month ago, we saw Pact come into Aptos. Pact brought over $1 billion worth of loans and whatnot. And as a result, we saw about $250 million worth of TVL hit our RWAs. And this involved about $1 billion US dollars and 20 million users. And you can see right there, we've got roughly about $335 million worth of RWAs as of about yesterday. And the other cool thing is we've got about $700 million worth of stable coins. So budding money markets on Aptos. And I don't know much about what's going on this slide, but I stole it from my good friend who works on institutions at Aptos. And he basically showed me a handful of ways in which RWAs make a lot of sense in Web3. In particular, you get the benefits of having fund settlements and movements 24/7 versus waiting for end of day and other activities. And you get reduced fees. And ultimately, you're able to generate roughly 17 bips above what you would do in standard money markets. And, at the trillions of dollars of which we have inside of these different asset classes, you can imagine making quite a bit of hundreds of billions of dollars to investors if we were to move more assets into RWAs. And so here's an example of when Pact came into Aptos. And you can see roughly they're pumping in 200 transactions per second on Aptos. And this seems pretty impressive, but if you know anything about Aptos, we can do roughly 10 to 20,000 transactions per second. And so our engineers saw this, and they came to the rescue and analyzed the Pact smart contract for optimal efficiency. And maybe I'm too far away. There we go. And because of the efficiency that our engineers brought into the Pact contract, we bumped this up by 900 transactions per second, which resulted in them being able to migrate all of their $1 billion over almost instantaneously. You can see we went from having to take hours to taking less than an hour to move all those assets on chain. This is the power of Aptos. But we haven't talked about fastest. That's just throughput. So what is fastest? Well, let's look at what happens when I've got to go and give my son his allowance. And I'm going to do that in Aptos because, that's what we modern parents do. So I'm going here, I go to his APT name, I say I'm gonna give him USDT, pop in $25, I'm pretty generous, and I click send, and before you even know it, it's already sent. And that split second, I spent more time preparing to send it than it took to actually send. And it took 0.64 seconds from the time that I clicked send to the time that my son had his allowance. Kid spent it even faster. And well, speed is one thing, but what about the cost? And this is where Aptos further differentiates itself by having the lowest fees for doing any sort of transfer. We charge a fraction of a cent. And so a different way of looking at it is you can roughly pay, you can get 100,000 transactions for roughly $1. Try finding another network that you can do that on. And so what is the technology behind all of this? And I'm certainly not going to go all of that within the few minutes that I have remaining. But I just want to briefly introduce you to what Aptos technology is so that you can do some research at home. At the bottom layer, we have this high-performance layer 1. The high-performance layer 1 consists of the best in consensus protocols that you'll find out there. It's multi-stage, pipeline, decoupled consensus, decoupled execution, and effectively allows us to get that sweet sub-second finality that you won't find on any other chain. And it also empowers us to get that tens to 20s of thousands of transactions per second with a future possibility of moving towards sharded execution with still single execution of a single proposal kind of frameworks that allow you to have unified state all within, giving you unlimited or infinite horizontal capabilities. On top of this amazing execution engine, we have the best in terms of smart contract programmability in Move. Move is a new language that came to fruition as part of our endeavors at Facebook to really solve a lot of the foot guns that exist in modern smart contract programming, especially in the Solidity case. The key coolness of Move is the notion of resource-oriented programming. In typical smart contracts, when you move a value from one account to another, say I'm going to transfer the 25 USDT to my son, you're literally subtracting 25 from one account and adding 25 to another. If I messed up my smart contract and I didn't move that $25 into my son's account, it would just be lost. And that's just a byproduct of Solidity, where we're just adding, subtracting integers. In the case of Move, we actually move around resources. I'm literally taking 25 coins and moving those 25 coins over into my son's account. If the smart contract wasn't written correctly and those 25 coins weren't moved to my son's account, or moved to an account for that matter, the transaction would be aborted and the coins would still be safely in my account. So we eliminate the risk of any sort of lost assets on chain. And we couple that with the fact that we prevent reentrancy, which makes it really one of the safest places to be doing development in Web3. Finally, we've been really focused on making it so that you can get effectively cloud-like programmability with inside of Web3. And so you don't have to spend all of your time figuring out how to be a Web3 developer. You can get to the focus of building out a successful product and a successful business case. And so behind the scenes, when we talk about real-world assets, the core technology empowering that is something called fungible assets. So this is effectively our ERC20, if you will. And it can be used to represent any fungible asset on Aptos. So if you're going to define real-world assets, you're going to just define stablecoins, or even our utility token, APT, or meme coins, they can all be represented via this. And the really cool thing about this is I can actually create new fungible assets without writing a single line of code. I can just simply kick off a transaction saying, create me this new fungible asset with this name, and it's seamlessly created with great programmability. Beyond that, through code mechanisms, you can actually add additional functionality, such as strict controls on who can control, who can use, when they can access. It's incredibly programmable. And it's extensible such that you can add things like taxation or even privacy on top of it. So we actually have built out a veiled or private transaction framework right on top of our fungible asset standard. One of our colleagues actually built out a 404 NFT standard that allows you to have shared NFTs. And so if you get enough of these tokens, you can actually then produce an NFT from it. And if you're familiar with the Move ecosystem, this is actually the first demonstration of dynamic dispatch in Move. And this has been the foundation for RWAs and Aptos, which was really cool because back when we launched this, we knew what we were going for, but also did somebody in the Aptos ecosystem said that they've been waiting for this all along, and that's prop-based. So they saw this and immediately read the document that described it and started building almost instantaneously. And you can learn more about it at the QR code up there. I also want to do a quick plug for an ongoing AI hackathon on Aptos. So if you're into AI, you're into economics, money movement, our good friends at Jewel Finance are hosting a MetaMove AI hackathon where you can actually go and potentially win prizes and check out how you can use AI to program Aptos. And just to quickly wrap up, if you've been following the memes on Twitter, we've got a CTO going on, and Aptos is looking good here. If you don't know what that means, well, then you should look it up and get part of the fun out there. And so with that, I want to help continue the presentations move along, and I'll conclude. Thank you so much.